For our next speaker, I would like to turn to Allan Abram, who is a regional analyst for Bloomberg New Energy Finance. Please.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be in front of you discussing electric mobility and what it holds for the future of cities in India. So, Bloomberg New Energy Finance, as we were formerly called, we are Bloomberg NEF. We are a wing within Bloomberg that looks at some of the major disruptions happening in the technology, as well as electricity, as well as transport segments across the world. And we try to figure out what's changing so fast and how all of this is leading to a world that is less carbon intensive and more sustainable. So when we're talking about Indian smart cities and the future of electric mobility, I would like to start by quoting two statistics. I'm sure most people in this room are aware of the statistics, but I would try to put how important electric mobility is for India by quoting these two statistics to put into perspective how big the problem is. So in 2011, about 30% of the population of India lived in cities. Fast forward to 2050, what we see, or what many world organizations believe, is that more than half of Indian population is going to be living in cities. That means that means a population more than the current population of the US is going to be added in the major cities in India over the next 30 years. The next statistic that I want to talk to you about is in 2011, the population group between the age of 20 and 65 in India was 53%, about 53%. Take it to 2030, the expectation is that this would rise to 60% and remain somewhere about that same range for the next couple of decades as well. So what this means is that not only is the population in major cities going to swell, it also means that the proportion of people who depend on transport or various means of transport, who are active participants in the economic workforce, are going to swell as well. So there is a huge challenge that is faced, that the cities are faced with today, to actually make your cities flexible enough to handle this sort of requirements with respect to transport. So I would say each of these challenges are also an opportunity for all of our city governments, thinking about this is an opportunity to actually reshape the mobility culture in our cities going forward. Push for something that's more efficient, economic, at a system level, and also think about what our long-term strategies and how our long-term cities should look like. What is the decarbonization plans? What is our plan on emissions as a whole? What is our plan on sound pollution? What is our plan on urban hotspots? All of these things have to fall in perspective in a policy framework. And I believe cities today can look at all of these things together and think about a future where, one, they think about changing the whole mobility culture around cities, think about how to nudge more and more people into more efficient means of transport like public transport, and also, on the other hand, look at ways in which you can decarbonize your transport fleet. And today, the zero-emission vehicles that are available for the second purpose, that is decarbonization of the transport fleet, is majorly electric vehicles. And this is one of those sectors that all of these cities are clearly looking ahead to promote. And globally, what we have seen is technology has been positive in pushing this. So lithium-ion battery prices have shown a declining trend over the last 7 to 8 years, We at BNEF, every year we reach out to the largest module, the battery manufacturers across the world, as well as major automobile manufacturers. And we try to get a sense of what is the actual price of batteries or battery procurement contracts that are being signed in the industry. And what we have seen is battery prices at a pack level have fallen by about 85%, from more than $1,000 per kilowatt hour to about $176 per kilowatt hour in 2018, $1,000 in 2010. So this is a major technological advantage that cities can now look to potentially use in decarbonizing their electric fleets. So what this means is, when we take the relationship forward, as in when we look at how battery technology is improving and how all the other factors of large scales of manufacturing and demand coming up, we see that the battery prices will fall to less than $100 per kilowatt hour by 2024 and fall to about $62 per kilowatt hour by 2030. This implies a lot of the vehicle segments that we see on the roads today will become potential segments where electric vehicles will find inroads. And when you look at India, we do see that a lot of the segments that are in high demand in these growing cities, which includes buses, three-wheelers, two-wheelers, are going to be cost competitive in the near future. Three-wheelers, as we see, based on the total cost of ownership analysis that we did, are already cost competitive with an IC engine vehicle that's available today. Two-wheelers are just a few years, 1 or 2 years away from that, and buses are 3 or 4 years away from that. And it all depends on what is the configuration of batteries. I'm not getting into the technicalities of it, but different segments start getting more and more susceptible to electric vehicle adoption in the next 4 or 5 years. So cities have this great opportunity to plan around these sort of opportunities and to plan an ecosystem that can develop around these sort of technological advances. But having said that, it's not an easy journey. What we believe is that, yes, it makes economic sense, but cities also have this problem of preparing regulations and policies for a future that is so disruptive. What I would like to call it is, how do you frame regulations in an age of accelerated technology obsolescence? So if you plan for a technology-specific approach, it will be very difficult for regulations to catch up as and when technology keeps disrupting itself. And this would be one of the major challenges that cities, governments, and other policymakers would face in coming out with policies which are flexible enough to take care of all technology disruptions that come up going forward, but keep in mind that the security and safety of all of these different technologies are not compromised. So this is easier said than done. It takes a lot more effort into designing policies that are more local and also having a longer term goal on what your 2 or 3 major priorities are, like decarbonization, pollution reductions, and all of that. Also, businesses have a challenge where your investment recovery cycles are shrinking by the day. Disruptions in technology are also affecting what businesses plan on their investment horizons. So if in the past businesses plan for investment recovery cycles of 25 years, they have to seriously consider what is the investment recovery cycle that they plan in the coming future, because you don't get that sort of time today to plan for the next disruption. So I think these are a couple of points that, going with the discussion of what are the opportunity and challenges with respect to electric vehicle adoption in India and in the major cities. I'm sure a lot of our cities have already started thinking about it. We've seen a lot of progress in the last 2 years in the way cities started incorporating a lot of these features into their long-term plans. But this is a very exciting journey that we have in front of us. Thank you.